Your name is in someone's mouth right now, not in passing, not as a casual reference in a conversation that moved on quickly to other things, as the subject, as the thing the conversation keeps returning to regardless of where it started, as the word that keeps arriving on this person's lips with a frequency that has not gone unnoticed by the people around them who are beginning to understand, if they did not already, that something significant is happening inside this person whenever your name surfaces. And it surfaces constantly. There is a particular kind of love that cannot stay private. Not because the person feeling it is indiscreet or careless or lacking in the capacity for internal containment, but because the feeling itself exceeds the container of one person's interior. Because it is too large, too specific, too insistently real to be managed purely within the private space of a single human being's experience, because it keeps looking for release, for expression, for some form of external existence that corresponds to the size of what is happening internally. And in the absence of being able to say it directly to you, for whatever reason, that direct channel is not yet fully open. It has been finding another release. Other people, the conversations in their life that have no particular agenda, that begin about one thing and end about you. The friends who did not ask about you specifically and who now know things about you that they did not expect to know because someone they care about could not get through a conversation without the subject arriving. The people in this person's closest circle who have heard your name enough times and in enough different emotional registers that they no longer need to ask who is being talked about when the conversation takes that particular turn. They know, everyone around this person knows, except possibly you. The first image that arrives in this reading is one I have been waiting to see without knowing I was waiting for it. I see a group of people, small, the intimate kind of group that forms around genuine closeness rather than social obligation, the people who actually know someone, who have witnessed them across enough time and enough different circumstances to have a real picture of who they are. And this group is having a conversation that began somewhere else entirely about something practical or mundane or completely unrelated to love. And it has arrived, as conversations in this circle often do these days, at the same place, at you. And what strikes me in this image is not the frequency of your name. It is the expressions on the faces of the people listening. Because there is something happening in this group that goes beyond ordinary conversation about one person's romantic life. There is a quality of attention, of leaning in slightly, of wanting to hear more, that belongs to people who are witnessing something they recognize as real. They are not rolling their eyes. They are not performing the polite engagement of people who are slightly tired of the subject but too kind to say so. They are genuinely moved by what they are hearing, by the specific way this person talks about you, by the quality of feeling in the words, by the fact that every time your name comes up, something happens to the person saying it that is visible and unguarded and entirely involuntary. They light up, not in a small way, in the way that makes the people around them think quietly, privately, sometimes later when they are alone, with the observation, I have not seen them like this before. Yeah. I want to describe what this person actually says, not the words precisely, because the words vary. They find new ones each time, which is itself evidence of something, because someone performing a feeling tends to repeat the same language because the language is the performance. Someone actually inside a feeling keeps reaching for new language because the old language keeps falling short of what they are trying to convey. They say your name first. Always your name first. Before the context, before the setup, before whatever they were ostensibly beginning to say, as if the name itself is the real content and everything that follows is just the elaboration of it. And then they say specific things about a moment, always a moment. The way this person talks about you is not general. It is not the vague warmth of someone expressing a category of feeling. It is the specific, detailed, remembers exactly how the light was kind of talking about someone that belongs to people who have been paying very close attention, who have been registering everything, who have been filing every small thing away with the care of someone who understands on some level that what they are accumulating is precious. They say things that make the people listening understand that you have been seen, that someone in their life has been looking at you the way that most people only hope to be looked at, with the full quality of their attention, without the usual protective distance that keeps feelings manageable, without the filter that reduces another person to their convenient dimensions. They have been looking at all of you, and they cannot stop talking about what they see. I want to speak to the why. Why other people? Why this circuitous route through someone else's conversations rather than the direct one through the person who is the actual subject of all this feeling? Because the answer is not simple, and I think you deserve the honest version of it rather than the comfortable one. Part of it is timing. There is a version of this feeling being said directly to you that this person wants to be right, that they want to arrive in the right moment with the right words in a context that is worthy of the size of what they are carrying. And in the waiting for that rightness, in the ongoing calculation of when the conditions are adequate, the feeling has been finding other exits, not as a substitute for the real conversation, as a pressure valve for something that cannot be fully contained while the real conversation is still in formation. Part of it is fear, specific fear, not of rejection in the simple sense, of the asymmetry of revelation, of the moment when what has been entirely private becomes known to the person it concerns, and the control over how it is received moves entirely out of their hands, of the vulnerability of being fully seen in the specific and undeniable and not possible to walk back way of someone who has said, I am in love with you, and now the other person knows that, and whatever happens next happens with that knowledge present. That is a significant threshold to cross, and they are working up to it, while their feelings, in the meantime, find the only available outlet, other people, your name, constantly. Let me ask you something that I want you to sit with honestly. Have you heard anything, not necessarily from this person directly, from the periphery, a comment that was made in passing and then not pursued, a message from a mutual connection that was vague enough to be ignored, but specific enough to have registered, a shift in the energy of certain conversations that pointed in a direction you noticed, but did not follow to its conclusion because following it felt like a larger step than you were ready to take in that moment. Because in my experience, these things rarely stay entirely contained. People who are talking about you in one direction are usually producing ripples in other directions too. And your perception, Virgo, that specific and finely calibrated perception that registers things before they become fully explicit, has probably been picking up something, some signal, some quality of attention coming from a particular direction that felt different from ordinary attention. Tell me in the comments if something is landing specifically for you right now. If a face arrived with the beginning of this reading and has been sitting quietly behind everything I have been saying since, you do not need to tell me who, just tell me if you know. I see a second image now that has a very particular quality of intimacy to it. I see a room at night, late. The specific lateness that belongs to the hours after everything requiring attention has been attended to and the noise of the day has genuinely subsided and there is nothing left between a person and their own thoughts. And in this room, this person is not sleeping, is not trying to sleep in the effortful way, is simply awake in the quiet way of someone whose mind has gone to a place it finds more interesting than sleep. It has gone to you, and in this particular late night going to you, something is different from the daytime version. The daytime version still has the slight management of someone who is aware that they are thinking about you and is calibrating how much space to allow it. The night version has no such management. The night version is pure, just the feeling, at full size, occupying the full interior space of the room and the person in it. And in this late night unmanaged version of what they feel for you, they are saying things not out loud, not yet, but in the interior, in the way that people sometimes have their most honest conversations with the people who are not in the room, working through what they would say if the moment arrived, what they want you to know, what they have been carrying, what you are to them in the language that is most accurate, most true, most completely representative of the actual size and quality of the feeling. And the language, Virgo, that arrives in that late night honest interior, it is the word love, not carefully, not hedged, not surrounded by qualifications and contingencies and the protective maybe of someone who is not quite sure enough to commit to the full weight of the word. Just love, certain, quiet, at full size, in the room at night, with your name. I want to speak about what it means that people around them know, because I think this is the part of this reading that is most significant and that most deserves your full attention. The people in this person's life have become, without it being planned or announced, witnesses to something. They have watched over a period of time that has been long enough to be unmistakable in its pattern, someone they know move through the experience of being genuinely, deeply, in a way that changes the quality of their daily life, in love with you. They have heard your name enough times to have formed their own impressions of you based on the portrait that has been painted in their presence, sentence by sentence, story by story, in the way that someone talks about a person who matters to them every time they talk about anything. They know things about you that you did not give them. They know how you made this person feel in a specific moment. They know what you said once that this person has returned to repeatedly. They know the quality of your presence through the specific and loving detail with which it has been described to them. They know that something about you is different from other people this person has cared about because the way this person talks about you is different, quieter somehow, more careful. Like someone handling something they are aware is precious and does not want to damage with imprecise language. You have a reputation in a circle you have never entered, a reputation built entirely from love. The third image comes through now, and it arrives with a specific and gentle weight. I see 2 chairs again, but not the empty chairs from an earlier reading. These chairs are occupied, both of them, and the people in them are facing each other in the way that people face each other when they are in the middle of something real. When the conversation has moved past the surface layer and into the place where what is actually true is being said, and the person in one of these chairs is saying your name. Not for the first time in this conversation, not for the first time in any conversation, but this time something is different. This time the saying of it is accompanied by the full admission, the thing that has been traveling toward the surface for all the time that your name has been finding its way into other people's conversations. The thing that is the actual content of all of those conversations, stated directly rather than circulated through the periphery. This person is telling someone they trust the full truth. Not the managed version, not the version with the qualifications and the protective distances, the full version with the word that is the most accurate word for what they feel, with the specific and vulnerable admission that they are in love with you in the way that changes things, in the way that has been changing things, in the way that means that whatever happens next, whatever form this feeling eventually finds or does not find its way into, they have been permanently changed by encountering you. And the person listening to this truth is nodding because they already knew. Everyone around this person already knew. Your name kept giving it away. I want to close this reading by speaking directly to something I feel you need to hear. You are loved in rooms you are not in. Your name is spoken with a care and a reverence that you are not present to witness. Someone is constructing a portrait of you in the minds of people who have never met you, a portrait built from the specific details of what you mean to them, from the texture of their experience of you, from the quality of feeling your existence produces in them that they cannot seem to stop giving language to. That portrait is extraordinary. Not because it is flattering, though it is, but because it is honest, because the person painting it is not performing for an audience. They are releasing something they can no longer fully contain in any other way. They are giving the feeling form in the only external space currently available to it. And the portrait they are painting is of someone remarkable, someone who produced in a person not easily moved a love so consistent and so specific and so genuinely alive that it finds its way into every conversation, whether or not it was invited. Someone whose name, spoken out loud, changes the quality of the air around the person speaking it. Someone who is loved not as an idea or a projection, but as a fully particular, specific, irreplaceable human being whose actual qualities are the source of what is being felt. That someone is you. And somewhere in a room you are not in, your name is being said right now. With love, with the full, unhesitating, completely certain weight of someone who knows exactly what they feel and is no longer able to keep it entirely to themselves, even though they have not yet found the way to say it to you. It is coming toward you. Your name is already leading it there.